Hey everybody, welcome back to the Short Free Games Talk podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy,
And I'm your co-host, Clyde.
and this is a podcast where we talk about short free games, mostly computer games. I almost called them internet games.
I think they all are.
They all are computer games?
Yeah.
I know if I could play them on the tablet, I so would.
But you can't.
But I can't. Yeah, I was actually looking at some developers' Tumblr sites this week, and I think somebody wrote alt games.
Alt games as a hashtag?
Oh, no, I mean, there's like, I make alt games.
Okay,
I feel like I saw that. And then I feel like I saw homemade games.
Okay.
But, yeah, so they could be called a lot of things. We don't really have a genre for them pinned down yet, if you will. So, this week we played some really interesting games, but the way we picked out this week's games was pretty fun.
I agree.
Yeah, I went and read Zero Comments, and the thing I got...
Zero feedback.
Zero feedback. I want to call it Zero Comments so bad. Is that I saw the thing above where that person writes, the description from the person who made the game. Even if it's something small, I really liked seeing what the person who made the game wrote before the comments.
See, the
That's
author.
why
the author, not what Noi wrote.
Right. That's why I wanted to go on Warped Door and like pick out my own things, because I wanted to, or go online, and you suggested Warped Door, but because I wanted to read the game maker comments in before I played the game.
See, this entire time I was thinking that it was the actual description of the game, because you were describing. I thought when you were really enjoying Zero Feedback, it was not because of the author's comments, but because of the
Oh no, I really enjoyed all of Zero Feedback. No, but the thing though is I was like, wow, I felt like in a way he was almost responding sometimes to what they were saying it was about, even though he played it, or that person played it. I don't know what they are. So it's not, but for me, all I have is the description to base what they write about it on. And so...
Oh, so you're like reading the author's...
Yeah, because...
Their controller
Well,
description?
sometimes the author writes like really long things. And
But then you're comparing the two of them?
yeah, so I'm like, oh, what did they say based off of... And one time it was just like, tell me what you think. And I was like, oh, that person. So I wanted to do that too. I wanted to see what the person said about their game before I played it. And you are the type of person that likes to not have any information.
This is true.
About a game, and so it didn't even occur to me I could have information.
I like to know it's safe. That's it.
What does that mean?
I don't want it to be scary or creepy.
Yeah. But you had a funny story though about how you didn't do that.
Yeah, I played a game called Sad Tim, and I just went into it, and there were some things written about it, but I didn't want to read any, and so when I downloaded it from Game Jolt, I didn't read any of the instructions or anything, and walked through the entire game, and I really enjoyed it, and kept on seeing these dark figures that kind of move a little bit, and you just pass them, and it gave me a real sense of isolation. I'm walking through these environments where there's these dark figures who are not interactable, and I really appreciated the game for its tendency to have it seemed like a mixtape that you were walking through, and so a couple of rooms would end up having one song, and so once I went through the entire thing, I said to myself, oh, okay, that's what this game is about. It's just a mixtape where you're supposed to walk through, so I'm going to play it again, and I'm going to spend as much time in each room as I like, and I might even go backwards, for instance. I'm going to appreciate it as a mixtape now that I know that that's how to appreciate it. But before I played it the second time, I ended up reading the controls, and I saw that the developer said, when approaching something to the extent of, when approaching an NPC, press 1, 2, 3, and 4 in order to advance the dialogue with the NPC. And so that it changed the game a bit. Not much, but it changed the game a bit.
Yeah. So this week's games were mostly picked out from Clyde suggested this website called Warped Door, where there's like a bunch of games and I
of
can
this ilk.
of this ilk, and I can look at the screenshots and read the little thing and decide which ones I want to play.
Yep.
That was super fun.
And in comparison to trying to get her to look through my file folders of games I've downloaded.
Yeah, because oh my gosh, the downloading. We have like really slow internet, so it's not like I could play them right then. Clyde had to like download them for me while I was at work so I could play them.
But it seemed like you were resistant to just going through the download folders because I didn't have screenshots.
Oh yeah, I like the screenshots.
And apparently the author description.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. Even though like 3/4 of the games I tried were broken.
You know, they say don't judge a book by its cover.
Do they say that?
They do.
I think I've seen that somewhere.
But
or heard it, I mean.
But I like to think, you know, when I read press WASD to move and space to interact, it really makes me want to just jump right in.
I love how you think that that's all they say. You know what I mean? They like sometimes say things.
Yeah, like press escape to get out.
That one that one with the
forward.
reverse Sims wrote a ton of stuff. That last one that they commented on?
Really?
Yeah, they wrote a lot
The
of
author.
stuff. The author.
What did they say?
They said
I mean, anything. I'm not gonna quote you or nothing.
I was about to tell you, but then you stopped.
I'm gonna
me.
record it. I'm not gonna quote it.
That's the same thing.
It's completely different. You won't be accountable for this.
We're moving on. Yeah, we picked games off of there, except for Chicken Creek. Clyde picked out.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Spoilers.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about Chicken Creek first. But before we do that, I want to say that if you haven't played this game and you were thinking about doing it,
You should play this game. It's fun and it's quick.
yeah, it doesn't take long. But knowing what happens will ruin the there's it's like almost like
You can never go back.
I don't care about spoilers, okay? I will look up what happens at the end of the book on Wikipedia before I read it so I don't get upset. Like, I don't care about spoilers, but this game was very entertaining because of the surprise of what happens. And all of these games, by the way, we're going to talk everything about them. So if you have an aversion to knowing what happens in games, we just wanted to make sure everybody didn't get their heart broken.
Yeah, we're not going to try to avoid spoilers, but Chrissy especially thought that
I would have been
Chitin Creek.
Yeah, I just want to call it Chitlin Creek so bad.
Okay, well let's do that. Let's just do it. Let's just
let's
just.
I spent my whole life calling people the nickname that I thought of for them, and I don't think anybody has ever appreciated.
What's mine?
Clyde. You thought of that one yourself, though.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
we're gonna discuss that, and it's spoilerific, but we're also gonna spoil everything.
Yeah.
Of every other game.
Of every other game, we're just here to ruin things for you. So, do you want to talk about it, or you want me to talk about it? I just did a lot of talking.
I want you to talk about it.
I just did a lot of talking.
Well, fine. You want me to describe what happens in the game?
Yeah. Just give us an overview. What is this game?
It's a game in a Atari style, visual style, in which you play as a cowboy going across a desert. And there's what appeared to be tumbleweeds initially, that slow you down a bit when you collide with them. After you go through a couple screens, did I mention you're on a horse?
I don't know, I wasn't listening.
Okay, you're on a horse.
Okay.
And a scorpion starts chasing after you. Scorpion bites you. And
did you talk about how you go through like 4 scenes on the horse before the scorpion?
Yeah.
You're like building up the
happening. The pacing of the game is very is very well done for humor.
Yeah, totally.
And so watching Chrissy play the game was like, oh, okay, I'm on a horse. All right. Is it just going to be like this the entire time?
Because, stuff like that happens all the time in these kind of games.
Oh, okay, I guess I'm on a horse. I'm in the desert. Oh, the sun's going down. Oh. Oh, no, it's a scorpion. Oh, no. And then, so the scorpion eventually bites you.
You can run.
You can run.
But you can't hide.
Yeah. And, you think that it might be game over, but your horse just collapses beside you and then begins to convulse and makes a funny kind of rattle sound.
He's Johnson. He's not Johnson anymore.
Yeah, he's not your buddy anymore. And he turns into a scorpion, which then proceeds to chase you. And then that scorpion gets you.
Mm.
And then you think
Had
the
it
game's
coming.
over. And then you convulse a little bit. And that's when it becomes really fun.
And that's when you go, do I get to chase somebody?
And so then you become a scorpion and you run into someone at a campfire. And
Some chump.
again, the pacing is great there too, because he doesn't like start running immediately upon getting in the screen. You have to kind of like approach him, and then the guy at the campfire is like, "Oh shit," and starts running. And then you get a title screen once you succeed in stinging him.
Yeah.
So
killing him.
The pacing of this game is really well done. I really like the sense of humor that it manages to do, largely through timing. And how do you feel about it?
Well, I thought a lot about this game as like, what is it? Because I played it at like the same time as Ghost Coin.
Okay.
So I don't want to say this word.
We should talk about Ghost Coin later too.
Oh, well, we're talking about it now, I guess. But I want to make sure I talk about the art style of this game before we move on.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'll do that before I start comparing it to what I think it is. So the thing that happened to me in this game is that it was in the Atari style. Okay? And I'm not a fan of retro game style, mostly because I'm old and I think
there's old people that like it.
Maybe, but for me, it's because my first system was an Intellivision, and I had to play a Pitfall. When kids today get to be playing Skyrim, it's not very fair to me in my heart.
Is it because of graphical fidelity or depth?
The game sucked. Have you played it?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's like worthless. I mean, you're like jumping over some crocodiles, you're swinging. You have to get the timing exactly.
I know,
right?
It's so particular.
Yeah, they're hard.
Well, that's because there's no game. Like they have to gate the content with dexterity.
Yeah, there's like nothing happening, and I couldn't understand like people's obsession with retro gaming because nothing happens in those games. They're not fun. But
Dig Dug was all right.
I don't think I played that one. Cops and Robbers I played it.
Oh, there was one, Keystone Capers. I like that one.
You probably had an Atari, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You guys wouldn't settle for an Intellivision. So
I think it was a couple years later.
Yeah. So, but the thing that happened, and I think it really helped that I played again Ghost Coin at the same time, is that I was able to finally see this style as a style. And not as something that I have like a connection to that I think of like my personal experiences for. It's not like I was saying I didn't play Ghost Coin. I was like, why is somebody using like that style of art that doesn't?
It's like
isn't.
You resent the Atari the 8-bit art style.
Yeah, I don't like people. I feel like people are like worshiping it even though it was worthless.
Yeah.
But that's just my personal opinion. But to see it done in this game, I really liked it. I liked the style. I liked the game in it. I have to remember they're not Atari games. It's just a style.
Yeah, this is not something you paid $50 for that you're stuck for the entire year, and that ends up not being all too good, and you have a broken joystick that like doesn't really work when you press to the left, and a sticky button.
And it made me really nostalgic. Like, I remember actually having fun playing Pitfall with me and my sister and my dad. Like, I remembered how fun it was, even though I look back on it with disappointment, So that was nice, too. But anyway, now whenever I see those kind of games, I won't be like, oh, I'm not going to play that. I'd be like, oh, it's just another style.
Well, your reaction to what did we agree to call it? Chitlin?
Chitten.
Chitten?
We agree on that.
Chitten.
We agreed.
Chitten, well, you got, huh?
I was going to tell you you're umming.
Oh, I appreciate that. It's very, okay, that's gonna really, put a bumper, okay, so, while your description, your reaction to Chitlin Creek was well, it's your stare. She's looking at me.
I'm gonna put a stop to you really soon. As the host, I'm fixing to have to delegate you to stop talking.
Well, your reaction was largely based off of its visual style. My reaction was largely based off of the narrative quality. That of it being a what seemed fabulistic, but without direct meaning. So I feel that this game manages to create an archetypical narrative that doesn't really have a real world counterpart. And I really enjoy that aspect because it's not some sort of I don't get the impression that this game is about reincarnation, for example, right? But yet it's got the narrative resonance of reincarnation, but for humorous purposes. And I just really enjoyed how the game creates a pattern of repetition that reiterates only slightly to keep it so that you're constantly doing the same. You're doing the same thing, what, 3 times or 4 times?
Right, 3 times.
But but at some point you switch roles, and it's just a small quantity of narrative parts that are paced well, and which, though similar, when you kind of go through the permutations of them as a player, you get a very cool experience that just feels memorable. And I'd like to be able to do that. That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun game. I don't mean this word in a negative way. I try to think of another word that means it too, so I wouldn't have to use it because I feel like it's an emotional response word. But I felt like it was a gimmick.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I was gonna kind of
like
compare it. Yeah, compare it to Ghost Coin. Like, it's got like this thing it does, and once you see what it is, it's like, oh, and then you just have fun with it the rest of the time. Like you.
You're saying this is what this game is, and now that I know that, now I have an idea of what scope this game is.
Yeah.
I can enjoy it for what it is.
Right, exactly. I feel like that's what I thought of whenever I first thought about it, because I played those 2 games at the same time. They seem to be similar in that way.
We should talk about Ghost Coin, because at this point we've talked about it so much in comparison.
So, Ghost Coin is a game where you're a coin. It's like old style cartoon art, like maybe 20s or 30s or something. I'm not really up on my cartoon art age.
Kind of lots of dots for shading. Black and white.
Yeah, I totally wasn't like, why is people doing 20s style art when that already happened? But yeah.
Yeah, how do you feel about the art style? I mean, not just in comparison.
Oh, I really liked I liked the art style, but I think I liked it because of what they did with it. So everything is really grainy, and that's because you have to blow away the grains, and you make a new, like, if it's like a worm, you blow it away and it becomes like a monster or something. I don't know.
I think I was reading a Kill Screen article about it, and they said that it was, they seemed to imply that it was, the coin is, it's like a scratch off.
I thought, oh, okay. That's an interesting,
Yeah, when we were playing it, I thought it was some sort of eraser.
I thought I was blowing it, because
yeah,
they make that face, don't they? Don't they make like a blow face? Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't know.
I don't know either.
But now that you say blowing, it does kind of remind me of that sand painting thing where they project on the wall the person drawing in sand.
Yeah. And it's just like a little game where you just uncover one image to make another image. Like a piece of an image turns into a piece of another image. And it's like I'm saying, like gimmick, but not in a bad way. It's just that once you see what the device is,
oh yeah,
or you know what I mean, then you just kind of are along for the ride for the rest of it.
Yeah. And there's no challenge, no dexterity. It's all about discoverability.
But I feel like it's still interactive. Like we've been playing a lot of these games, and I'm trying to figure out like what's the player's purpose in this game. Like. You
mean input wise?
Yeah, input wise. Like, in some of these games, they just build an environment for you to walk around in, and I can't really imagine that, like, the player is involved, versus this is all player involvement. So I appreciate that aspect.
That's interesting.
That it's like a game made for a player.
We need to talk about this.
Okay, let's talk about it, since we need to.
So what's the difference between...
I was thinking of No Fun House if you want to use that as an example.
Okay, that's great. So, well, or any of these games that are largely 3D environments that you walk around in.
Yeah, but we're going to talk about No Fun House.
What is the difference between walking around a 3D environment to discover new content and scratching off?
There is no new content. I mean, I feel like 3D environments, you're looking at a wall with some art on it. You're outside and there's like a mountain with some art on it. Even though the art is similar. I have a really hard time trying to figure out what my role as a player is. Like, I feel like I need to be inventing things to do in order to have an objective, in order to even be able to be in this environment. It's like I don't go to an art museum and hang out in front of a painting for like an hour. Do you know what I mean? Like, if I want to really look at a painting, I'll do a study so I can see what it looks like. But I feel like those kind of environments or games are made for the person making them and not for the person playing them.
The ones that are largely architectural.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I agree with you to some extent, but I just don't know how to describe the difference. Because, so for instance, with a visual novel, you're just clicking to make it progress.
Yeah, but you're making choices that determine the storyline. You're not talking about a kinetic novel, you're talking about a visual novel.
Yeah. I mean, in order for me to enjoy a visual novel, it does have to, at some point, not be kinetic.
Right.
So, I'm just really interested in the idea of, like, how minimal interaction changes the way you experience an environment or a narrative. And I have a hard time figuring out what the real distinction is between scratching off something to kind of uncover an area or chasing something versus just wandering around a building.
Well, I think maybe you have a question you're answering when you're scratching off one image and looking at another.
Like, what's behind this?
What's behind this? I know it's connected to this one. How are they going to connect this one this time? Is it going to be bigger or smaller? You know, there's a lot of, like, wonder. You're actually engaged.
So with the walking games, it might be a matter of me having an objective. So maybe the reason I enjoy them is because I have an objective.
Mm-hmm. And I think that, like, I know you spend a lot of time in No Fun House looking for an edge to fall off of.
Right.
And so you spent more time there and you had more fun.
Right.
So after you told me you did that, I thought, well, I need to make up an objective, and then I can spend time there and have fun, because I'm just like, oh, okay, I mean, it's a cool environment, don't get me wrong. They did great artwork. The environment's really cool. There's really interesting things to see in there, but I can't figure out what my role as a player is in that environment.
With No Fun House, the role of the player is largely that you're walking through a labyrinth and you're kind of trying to figure out you're trying to figure out what the game's about, isn't it?
I don't know. I know.
I mean, that's what motivated you as a player initially in that game?
Oh, to explore the house.
Right.
You're walking around the house. You think something might be in there. You're looking around. Sometimes you get these prompts asking you if you want to relax or if you'd like to go to the garden or the ocean, and you can go to them. And then you start back over where you started from in the house, and you walk and explore it.
So what did that ruin the motivation for you, being reset to the initial spot again and again?
That didn't. I mean, there was no motivation. Like, there's nothing to create motivation in that game.
See, for me, when I was walking around No Fun House, the translucency of the wall was largely a motivation for me. I would see certain rooms that it wasn't anything particular about those rooms, but I would say to myself, oh, I have not been in the room with the beanbag chair and the water bottle yet, so...
Okay, no, that's not, you're right, that's not true, because I wanted to see all of the prompts, where all the prompts brought me.
The prompts were the coolest part of it.
Yeah.
And
well, the art was really nice.
the art was really awesome.
Really good artist.
And you know what I really appreciate with this type of thing is, if you were to take one of those paintings that's in No Fun House and just put it on one of our walls, it would be a nice painting to have for sure. But having a house that seems to have the same aesthetic as the painting itself, and many paintings that seem to have come from the same place, is really exciting to see. I enjoy the idea of seeing artwork in the place where it appears to have been created, almost.
The visuals of that game were really nice. Like, once you go outside into the
garden.
The relaxing area, and stuff's coming from the sky, and the mountains have so many textures on them. I mean, it does look really cool. It's just still a matter of, when you're making art as an artist, you're thinking about making the process. You're not thinking about who's going to do what after it. That's how I feel this game came across.
So I wonder if the difference then is thinking of it, when you're making the game, thinking of it in terms of what progression for the player am I going to create versus what environment am I going to create for the progression to occur.
I don't know what the second part means.
So with Ghost Coin, it seems that the verb is very important, where it's a matter of scratching off and kind of uncovering more and more and more, and just the idea of transforming one shape or one object or one cartoon character into another, and the novelty in that. And in Chitin Creek, the way that they're thinking about the game seems to be, there's going to be a cyclic movement.
You're just going to push on through it.
Yeah. And it's going to repeat itself, but with some interesting iterations that create a sense of who am I as a player, even. Has this cycle been going on for many years? And I don't know. I guess I would be interested to see if making a game with the idea of I'm going to create a mythology would end up with vastly different results, or the type of difference that we're discussing here, than if you were to create a game where it says I'm going to create an interesting place.
I think what I want to know is, what is the motivation of the game maker when they create an interesting place? Like, it's not like you're hanging out in a game. It's not like, I'm going to sit on this couch and, like, read my book in this room,
Not yet.
Not yet. Well, yeah, and when that happens, I can totally see having a cool room to do it in.
But it's not. But you have to have a reason to stay there currently.
Right. Now, you made an art game. So was it interactive? I can't remember. Or did you just
I don't know
watch?
which one you're talking about.
The More game. Was it interactive, or did you?
Just barely. You can click it to nudge things.
Okay, because, like, what do you expect the player to do? Is just look at things?
It was not a consideration what the player should do.
So that's what I think is I think I have more of a resistance of games that don't consider the player, because I am the one playing it. I can only consider myself, so that this is the product that I am being introduced to.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's because as I'm making it, I'm just trying to create something that I want to see. And so, in that way, it is consideration of the player. But it's consideration of the player who is like me.
Yeah, right? Who's going to want to sit there and watch it.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
So, well...
Do you have anything else to say about this game?
About No Fun House?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
How much did we describe about it?
Very, that we walk around the house with translucent walls, and there's, like, off-worlds you go to.
The color palette of this game is very distinct. It's... Imagine imagine.
Have you ever watched a vaporwave video?
Yeah, vaporwave is a good way to describe the aesthetic. It's things feel like they're made out of transparent colored plastics that are. The clipboard company came out with its neon line in the early 90s, and the house is made of this, seems to be made of this material. There's beanbag chairs, beds, and paintings and bottles of water throughout the hall. They're always very narrow hallways because it's what is a elaborate.
And you even found a pool with Diet Coke in it.
Yeah, there's a pool with Diet Pepsi.
Diet
Thank you
Pepsi,
very
sorry.
much. I'm pretty sure. Now I hope I'm right.
It goes with the vaporwave theme.
But Diet Pepsi, like if it was the only thing that would be better than Diet Pepsi in this case would be Crystal Pepsi. But it's this like bathtub with many cans of Diet Pepsi just floating in them buoyantly, and there's ads of what appear to be these serene mountains in the distance at a lake, and with some Pepsi in the camera view. And so it gives me the impression that the person who made the game wanted to recreate not the mountain scene with the Pepsi cans, but instead the place where someone would relax trying to recreate the mountain scene with the Pepsi cans in their own home.
Oh yeah, what did you say? It's sort of like the tapes of This Is How You Relax.
Yeah.
Versus like how you really relax.
Yeah.
Like you go to your secret place.
Yeah, it's not about the example of a place that they give you to go to your secret place. It's about that secret place that you develop having no real knowledge of what the real place is like.
Yeah. And I read that article about this game, and I really actually enjoyed thinking about the game a lot more after I read it, seeing that like she takes it apart and puts it back together. A lot of the art, like you can tell it's textured. And I looked at some of her art. The Google Map stuff looks like the mountains. And
what is she taking apart and putting back together?
The visuals, like layering the visuals on top of each other.
Like the textures?
Mm. As far as I can tell from the article.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like there's textures overlapped in the art.
Yeah. And did you notice what they were? There's like a grid of happy faces.
Oh yeah.
That aren't quite...
Emoticon.
Oh, that's what they are.
Yeah.
Emoticons.
Yeah, so you don't read fan fiction. You're not used to emoticons. Ask me.
And the rest of it looked like kind of like quilt work, really.
Or
fabrics from clothing, I guess. Very loud patterns.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that game. I like No Fun House. I just want to keep on talking about No Fun House.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to talk about. You want to talk about The Static Speeds My Name first, or Gat Life first?
Let's talk about Gat Life.
Okay, I want to play a game. Why don't you tell the listeners what Gat Life is?
Gat Life is a visual novel format where you go into a bar to pick up another gat.
You have a gun head and a person body.
Yes, you have a gun head and a person body. It just occurred to me that it's I wonder if the title comes from removing one letter from gay life.
Ah.
And replacing it with a T.
Because it is sort of like a gay porn.
Yeah, it gives you the impression.
Visual novel.
It gives you the impression that you're going into a gay bar to pick up someone for hookup sex.
You get to pick out which guy that you want or gat you want.
And so you have three options, and they quickly self-select. What would you call it?
Funnel you into what they want you to pick.
Yeah, funnel you into one particular choice, and then you go back to their place. Is it?
Mm-hmm.
And
I don't know. Somebody's house y'all go to and hook up.
And it quickly turns into the mechanics of some form of sexual intercourse.
Yeah.
But everything is done with gun visual metaphors rather than with actual human body parts. So it has a much more kid friendly kind of feel,
if you will.
Yeah. Is that a good description?
Yeah, sure. So let's play yellow wallpaper with this game.
Okay.
Why the gun heads? Like, what their guns really representing in this game? I want to know. Like, why did they pick gun heads and gun parts?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was trying.
I mean, the only thing I had was the replacing the Y of gay with the P.
Yeah, I know.
Gay.
That was your contribution. I was thinking on the way home if I was going to play.
Well, what is the difference between this and let's suppose it was just male models or something in this game and it was called Gay Life?
Okay, it would be a lot less. What's the word I'm looking for? Where people are willing to do it. Accessible, maybe?
You think people would be more resistant to it?
I do, but I don't really know that.
Because you can play a game about gats and still be, no
Okay.
homo. Right?
Right. Well, I wonder, and this is just a side point of me, what is that thing called where you talk about writing from the perspective of, like, the thing that you are, so you have a hard time writing as a female because you don't know the female perspective kind of thing? So I wonder, I can't help but resist to wonder about the person who made this game, because I personally read a lot of fan fiction, and it is 2 men in my fan fiction that I ship, and it's all written by teenage girls, and I can tell, and it's really entertaining to me, actually. So I can't help but to wonder, like, what would it be from what would these stories actually be like from the perspective of someone who's actually had these experiences,
Rather than someone who's fetishizing them.
Yeah. And I feel like this is another fetish-sized one, but I don't know that.
Right.
But
Well, it might be that I can see why you would think so, because it's so edited, not in reducing content, but edited in the sense of it had to choose what to represent.
Yeah,
and it represents so little.
Yeah, and so they, like, had to go big. But
yeah, they had to hyperbolize the most exciting portion of it, which is firing off a few rounds, if you know what I mean.
But I don't think they picked guns to make it accessible. I feel like they're really trying to communicate something, or symbolize something, or represent something, and that I can't figure out what it is.
Well, let's see what it symbolizes to us.
Right. Well, when I think about guns, I think about, like, both security and danger, because people feel safe that they have them, but they're also, like, a dangerous thing to have.
Now that I think about it, I associate guns with conservatives.
Oh, yeah?
And, I know that from people I see at work all the time, there are people who buy guns as if they're video games.
Really?
Yeah, they're huge gun collectors.
Oh, yeah, because somebody we know I just found out was a gun collector, and it seemed really strange to me.
There are a lot of gun collectors in this area, and I imagine they spend a lot of time trying to figure out which gun they're going to put in their collection next. And they are, by far, the majority of these folk are have very typically conservative values, and conservative values typically, at least in this country, involve homophobia.
Oh.
So maybe the idea was to make it more appealing to the homophobia.
I don't think so.
Segment?
I don't know. I don't think so, though.
Yeah.
Why did you want to talk about this game if you didn't know?
I just liked it. I like.
What did you like about it?
I liked that it's. I'm trying to play a lot of romance games right now, and what's interesting to me about this one is that it's. I won't say it's no romance, but it's just so sexual. It's almost like consumeristic sex. I've never been in a situation where I found myself going to a bar to hook up with someone, but I've many times been in a situation where I was in a bar and someone was trying to hook up with me because I was in a bar. So
you've never gone to a bar with my sister or Shannon, then, have you?
No. Well, even if I did go to a bar with your sister or Shannon, I would be doing it to watch them
You
hook
could
up with
see how
someone.
it's done.
But it's like it's not my style. So I kind of like being able to vicariously
Or you get to see what it's like.
well, not see what it well, I don't think it's a fair representation, but I do
It's not that
but there should be a scene where you're like choosing which dance moves to do with the person. But yeah, it's just a way for me.
It's always the grind. What are you talking about choosing which dance moves?
it's just a safe way for me to get an experience that's different than mine, and it being in the romance area is kind of helpful for me right now.
Mm.
Like it's the same way as when I'm watching or playing visual novels that are based off of high school romances with girls trying to get a date for the prom.
Mm.
Like that's not at all like what my experience was like.
Right.
And
Oh, so you get okay. I see. You're kind of living vicariously through.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
And it's interesting. We were just talking about what is the role of the player, like really what is the goal of the player, and having the goal of hooking up, I think, is an interesting one.
Mm.
Did you? Well, we're not supposed to talk about games that cost money.
Oh.
So never mind.
Wait, what were you gonna ask me though? I'm just curious. We won't talk about it.
Did you ever? Who did you end up hooking up with in Magical Diary?
I don't think I made it that far in Magical Diary. Chaos! Planets is free! Chaos!
Okay.
Every day of the week!
Let's talk about planets.
Oh, but see, I didn't like Planets last time I played it. Like, it was the epitome of, like, the best romance visual novel that I had found. And it kind of still is, like, the best one I've found, but I quit trying. But it's totally like, the format is you have the three guys to choose from. The mean, dark, mysterious, I guess in this one he's got red hair and it's not dark, but the mean, mysterious Mr. Darcy. And then you have the fun-loving,
Jeremy.
Yeah, I'm gonna party all night. And then you have, like, the quiet, sensitive one, but not in a mean way. He's just sweet and sensitive.
Oh, is he the one that always
Shinwoo.
like shows up when you're getting hurt or something?
Yeah, he's the Shinwoo. So, then you have and you have hit your head, and you've started being telepathic, so you get whisked away to a school of people with powers, and then you can decide like where to eat your lunch and who to hang out with, and you make your relationships through this way. And
how do you decide who to hang out with during lunch?
it took me a long time to find out where Chaos was for every day.
So it says it's lunchtime. Where are you going to eat?
Yeah, and you have 5 choices, and you have to be really
But
careful.
there's only 3 guys.
Yeah, you can end up eating alone. You have to be really careful because you can pick a place where Chaos isn't, and then you might end up on a stream with a guy that you don't want, that you're kind of stuck on.
So how did you figure out where Chaos is?
Well,
you can be consistent.
There's a save function. So I would go to a place and Chaos wasn't there, and I'd go back.
That's not a good method.
And then, well, I wanted 100% Chaos dialogue.
Right.
I loved that aspect of the game. It was I played through with all the love interests, but
I'm kind of disappointed with the design decision.
There's no way to know. There's no way to. He's not the same place he was yesterday. He could be anywhere.
He's a loose cannon when it comes to choosing lunch places.
But
is lunch the only opportunity you have to choose?
No, you go on a class field trip, and you can decide who you're going to hang out with. But by then, you're kind of like after your first couple of days of making a choice, they pretty much pair you up for the rest of the game. And so, since I pick Chaos constantly, and then you have a chance to answer your roommate asks you which guy are you into, and you pick. And then they kind of pair you up for the rest of the game with that person. But for me, I really like Mr. Darcy characters. And so having one in this game is what made this game so good for me. And that's what I really like about what I think of romance visual novels, is actually having a choice of which one you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then going through different situations with them. Instead of a lot of visual novels is like, I just moved into a new house. Here's a group of people that live here with me. And then you have like the football player and you have like, you know, the art school guy, you know, but there's like no real dialogue. It's just everybody is saying things that are specific to their role. Let's go watch the game. I'm going to work on my painting. You know, you don't really feel like you ever get to know anybody. Versus me and Caius had a lot of heart-to-hearts. He had a power he couldn't control. He killed his mom. You know, you really feel like you get to know the characters have depth.
They're trusting you.
Yeah, the Shinwoo accidentally put a spell on all the girls to make them fall in love with him, and that's why he's got this fan club, and he can't figure out how to reverse the spell. And
that's good.
Yeah, and he's always hiding from him. And then the Jeremy, fun-loving character, is all like, I have a disease that's gonna kill me, so I have to live every moment to the fullest, and that's why, you know, I'm having so much fun all the time.
Yeah.
Like, there's reasons.
Yeah. For the way that they are.
Yeah.
Rather than just
I'm an
them
asshole.
Going through the motions of being who they have been typified as.
Right. Exactly. That's what was so good about that game.
That's useful. Yeah, I'm starting to realize that I think trusting is something that I'm really enjoying in games. This idea of, as far as romance goes, the idea of do the NPCs give me the opportunity to trust them? Do I have the opportunity to ask them if they trust me? Basically, exchanging vulnerabilities seems to be very...
Yeah, it's really rewarding as a player to feel like you're getting to know real dynamic personality traits of an NPC.
Say it again, I'm sorry.
If you get to know real personality traits of your NPC, you feel a lot more committed, or you know what I mean.
They're more interesting, right?
Yeah, they're more interesting. I was totally into some chaos. They sold it to me. Mm-hmm. You know, it was like when we finished watching one of our dramas, and you fall in love all over again.
Do you think someone could get what's the German character's name?
I don't remember any of it. It was like a Japanese game. They all got Japanese names.
Do you think if someone else played it and they said that they ended up with them, would you respect that?
Here's the thing. I always go for Mr. Darcy. It doesn't matter. So people can pick whatever they want. But I played it recently, and it felt a lot less interesting than it did the first 100 times I played it. So I don't know if I was just really into it because it was before I found fan fiction, and that was the best that there was at the time. Mm-hmm. So I can't really recommend it anymore.
Yeah.
Do we have time to talk about the last game, or do you not think so?
I would hope so. I hope.
Okay.
I can do this all night.
You can do this. Okay, not me, because I have to go to work tomorrow, and you're off, so that's very unfair. So the Static Speaks My Name. Let's talk about this game.
Okay.
I'll talk about what it's about since you have more to say about your interpretation of it than me.
On the Tumblr, we're going to say it's creepy, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this game is creepy. I gotta say that too. I'm glad I played it, though.
Me too.
Me and Clyde have a hard time disassociating ourselves from things that we see on TV or play, so we don't do horror, creepy, or anything like that.
We just like love stories and comedies.
And mostly love,
and dramas that involve people just trying to come to terms with themselves rather than coming to terms with someone outside of the window with a knife.
Yeah. I'm not safe scared. I don't feel safe. I'll go to grandma's house and watch Law and Order and come back and knock on my doors. I'm scared. So anyway, in this game, it's a Gone Home clone. Am I allowed to say that? Is that what you call games that are in the style of another game? What do you call those?
Yeah, clone. Clone's fine.
Okay. But instead of receipts being everywhere, I can't say this enough, the receipts.
There were a lot of receipts in Gone Home. The family was receipt obsessed.
Then there are palm tree paintings. It's like these two palm trees that are connected at the base on a small island are everywhere. And
they're similar to the palm trees that you would imagine if you were buying a fish toy for an aquarium that had palm trees on a little island.
And some of them have writing on them, like they're trying to figure out what's happening maybe in the painting.
You get the impression that there's a lot of analysis going on about this painting, and the protagonist which you play as, has written all sorts of messages involving the various hypotheses on what is the essence of this painting.
Yeah.
What is it trying to do with its shading? My favorite one was it notices that there's two shadows going two different ways with only one light source. Nature doesn't work this way. Why was this choice made?
And there's a lot of really entertaining details. So you get up in the morning at 3 a.m. And
there's a poster above you that says, today will be better, or something like
before
that.
you do this, you're in outer space or inner space, and you run into a cloud, and you find out that you're going to play as a person who commits suicide.
Yeah.
So then you wake up.
Or no, you find out that you're going to be asphyxiated.
Oh yeah, okay. And then so when you wake up and you see that today it will be a good day or a better day or whatever, kind of everything.
It's a dark humor game. It's very much
every detail in this game though is so well done. It's like they picked everything so well.
I agree.
So you get up and you go through the motions. They give you like routine tasks at the beginning, like go to the bathroom and clean the microwave.
Well, no, it's not one of the ones at the beginning.
What is it? What is it after?
It's clean the microwave.
Go to the bathroom is the very first one.
Go to the bathroom. Go to the fridge, get something to eat.
No, don't you clean the microwave? You clean the microwave before you get something to eat.
Nope.
You clean the microwave before you get something to eat.
I mean, you can keep on saying it, but
and
it's not
I'll
make
keep
it
on
true.
being right. I feel like they build up to the creepy tasks. I think you clean the microwave first because you build up to the creepy tasks.
Well, let's hear you talk about that, I guess. How the buildup of the creepy tasks.
Because you do like normal things at the beginning, and then they start asking you to do things like eat. And when you first wake up in your room, your house is kind of weird. Like you have walls boarded up.
To eat. That is not an abnormal thing to do.
It is in this game. So your house is kind of strange. You have boarded up windows and doors.
Yep.
You have a whole room of those paintings.
Yeah, and a bunch of TVs that have
static
white noise on them.
Yeah, in a pile.
And there's the lighting of the game, or the lighting of the room, feels very. The reason people claim not to like fluorescent bulbs, it's very dim and unsettling in a way.
Yeah, it's definitely dark. But when you first wake up and you're in your room, you're kind of exploring, like, you don't know what's going to happen yet. And then there's, like, you have this huge aquarium full of shrimp. And I'm, like, doing my thing, and Clyde's like, go back and look at the shrimp. So I stand there.
Yeah, I was really fascinated
for Clyde, like, for, 5 seconds so he can look at the shrimp. And then, so when it comes time to eat, you don't have any food in the refrigerator. So it asks you to eat your shrimp. And you go to your aquarium.
And you chew on a couple of them.
Oh, God, it's horrible.
It was a pretty great moment in games, just in general.
It's like it is like your resort. It feels so wrong to do it.
It feels wrong. It feels gross, and it feels desperate, right?
Yeah, they create an emotional response. Totally.
It is a good way to create this sense of into the line, really.
Yeah.
To say, I'm just eating. It's like William S. Burroughs in his later years or something.
Putting down the needle and picking up a shrimp.
Just like living in the basement with a bunch of guns. It has that type of feel. But so the thing that I really appreciate about this game is that I think of it as some form of a metaphor for artistic
I think this will make more sense if we say what happens after that.
Okay, let's do that.
So the next task is to go you see on your refrigerator, there's a newspaper clipping saying an artist has been kidnapped.
Yep.
And so one of your tasks is to let the artist out of the cage. So you go into your secret room because you found some blueprint on how to turn a bookshelf into a secret door.
And there's a dog cage with a naked man in it.
With a bowl with a
with a shrimp that he hasn't eaten. He hasn't eaten his shrimp.
The detail is the greatest detail in the world.
It is a pretty good detail.
And then there's all these easels and paintings in there where you're trying to do that painting.
And they're all unfinished, and they're all failed attempts at trying to recreate that one painting.
Oh, but before you do that, you go on the internet, and this girl tries to have internet sex with you, and you just tell her, I might have done something wrong, but you never get that far.
I think that's the weirdest part of the game. I mean, in the sense that I don't think it fits with the rest of the game.
Really? Because I think that's where you're trying to show your remorse. Because you were like, I don't really feel like they did something wrong in the game, and I pointed out that they were on the internet saying that they did something horrible. I think that's to them not knowing.
You know, the only reason they think it's horrible is because they failed at doing it. Which is kind of fucked up when you think about it. Like, the moment of remorse is realizing, you know what, even though I've gone to all of this effort, I even kidnapped the artist so that I could recreate this painting. It's not going to work out.
It's not going to happen.
And you know what? It was a mistake. But only because, not because of any of the inconsideration that they have
they have ruined another person's life.
Yeah, it's because they failed to make the painting.
So then they kill themselves.
Yeah. So then they kill them. It says, let your body rest is what it says, and then you go in a closet and hang yourself. So, when we were just trying to decide whether or not to talk about the game, we weren't really sure if the creepy nature of it had a payoff, had a reason, if there was
if it was just creepy to be creepy.
Yeah, creepy to be creepy isn't really something that we can get behind.
Right.
But the more I thought about the game, the more I feel like it's some sort of metaphor for the decision to copy someone else's style rather than focusing on your own. To create an objective artistically that is something that can actually be failed. It leads to an obsessive compulsion isolation that is represented by the creepiness in this game, and that's why I think that it's an interesting game. Really, not only is it well made in its details, but it's an interesting metaphor for that artistic struggle of coming to the realization that not only am I going to be better off doing my own thing, but I won't be able to do the thing of someone else.
I can't copy.
Yeah.
The thing
And so that failure to do so, that's what's committing suicide. It's this idea, this ideology, this artistic ideology of perfection that I'm going to try to re-attain after it has been done by someone else. That's what's destroying itself in order for something else to happen. That's how I see the game.
Yeah, I like that interpretation more than it being creepy for creepy's sake.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're trying to communicate something through all of this. It's just hard to get to a point where I can see past the style in order to see the story. So I was really glad you told me that.
It feels like going to, the home of a shut-in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that leaves you with this feeling of, I don't know how to describe it, just unpleasantness, and that's not typically what I want to do.
Yeah, it was definitely unpleasant, but the details were so good. The shrimp in the bowl. Yeah. Okay, is there anything else you want to talk about this week?
Let's see, we talked about Chitin Creek, No Funhouse, Scat Life, Static Speaks My Name, Ghost Coin, Planets, Sad Tim. Did we talk about Sad Tim?
Yes.
I talked about Sad Tim.
Yeah, that happened. Okay. Well, I hope everybody has a good week, and we will see you later.
Bye.